On the next street.
And people called the TV station and they were really angry. You know, they were saying things like, you know, take that dirty rasta head gal off the TV. Jamaica in 1989. And I moved to Europe. When I left here, I had a jerry curl in my hair. I got to Holland and I couldn't find a black hairdresser at the time to do my hair. So I cut it off and started twisting it, and, you know, I moved from Holland to North Africa, etc. When I came back to Jamaica, I was wearing little tiny twists, which, you know, very, very popular now. And I remember people saying to me, but you can't go on the road like that. Friends of mine would say to me, but you can't go on the road like that. I had a friend who, you know, I went to her office to drop something off, and she met me down in the parking lot because she couldn't afford for me to come upstairs to her office because I was such an embarrassment with my hair. So I went and hosted this television program. It was called Tuesday Forum, and I wore the Nubian knots. It was a program about study skills for young people. And by the end of the program, the station received about 28 phone calls from Jamaicans who were really angry that I confronted them by wearing a hairstyle which normally China bumpy or Nubian knots, the proper name is Nubian knots. You wear it at home when your mother wash your hair on a Saturday. You wear it at home. You don't wear it out the street. And people called the TV station and they were really angry. You know, they were saying things like, you know, take that dirty rasta head gal off the TV. You know, how can they allow this woman to be on the TV looking like this? And I was working as a news editor with a radio station at the time. And the next day, a woman rang me at the radio station and she said, you know, I used to hear you reading news on radio and I was very impressed with you as a newsreader. But now that I have seen you, she said, you are a disgrace to Jamaican women. You're a disgrace. And she said, if my maid came to work, she said maid, you kind of know where her thinking is, right? She said, if my maid came to work looking like you, then I would have to send her back home. She said, you are dirt. Don't ever come back on my TV looking like that again. But, you know, my thing is, I was raised by two amazing parents, Mas Plaston and Miss Emma, who told me every day that, you know, I was gorgeous, I was wonderful, I was talented, I was bright, I was creative, the world is mine. And so I don't put limits on myself. Any limits and any boundaries there are is, you know, what I put out there. I have this sense of the world is mine. I can do just about anything because this is the way my parents raised me. So it didn't really affect my psyche, you know. But what happened, it affected the national psyche. And every now and then there's an attempt at the prejudice, at the racism, at the prejudice, but I don't pay it no mind. You know, there have been situations, I remember, for example, friends of mine telling me that they were in a meeting with an advertising agency and they were trying to decide, you know, if I should be the person whose voice, not even my face, whose voice should front an advertising campaign for a corporate Jamaican entity. And the question was asked, you know, but can she speak English? Because you see, there's this perception that if I look the way I look, as in wearing the China bumps and the twist and thing at the time, then I must only be a Creole speaker. The stereotyping has existed, not just for me, but for almost everybody, you know, because there was a time you couldn't get certain jobs. You couldn't work in the banks, you couldn't work in the airlines, you couldn't work frontline corporate Jamaica if you had natural hairstyles. And so women were forced to straighten their hair. Now, there has to be something very wrong with that picture. We live in Jamaica, a country which is 90-odd% Afro-black. Now, Mark, you know, I have no problem. If women want to straighten their hair, that's okay. I used to wear straightened hair at one point too. And as I tell people, look, it's hair, it's organic, it grows. If I get up tomorrow morning and I want to straighten it, it doesn't affect who I am. But there's this perception that if you have the natural hair, you are Rasta or Rasta inclined. And so there are perceptions, stereotypical perceptions people try to heap on you because of your hairstyle. But for me, I've just kind of walked away from it, circumvented it, and just done my own thing. I remember years ago, I was in a pharmacy, and a woman came up to me. She heard me, negotiating something, and she said, "Oh, you're Joan Andrew Hutchinson?" I said, "Yes." She said, I don't want you to feel any way, but you don't look like what I thought you looked like. I hear you on the radio reading news all the time, but you don't look like what I thought you looked like. And I said, okay, what did you think? What did you imagine? She said, I don't want you to feel any way, but based on how you speak and think, I thought you were brown skin with long hair and slim. Well, I'm none of the above, right? So, but it has changed. When I look and I see people on television and doing their stuff in their natural hair, I'm really, really happy about that, and I feel therefore that the discrimination has lessened. It has changed. I find my own work for the most part, so I'm not so affected by people. Though I tell you this, once I did get the job. I was going for an interview for a communications consultant position with corporate Jamaica, and I had my hair out, natural hair, but it was up, and the ends were out and just wild and freaky. And the HR manager kept on looking at my hair, and then she, excuse me, you plan to do something with your hair? So I said, yes, I plan to do something with my hair. I plan to lock it. I'm going to lock it next week, So there were those issues. There were people attempting to do these things, but, me, I don't pay them no mind. I just do my thing. Jamaican women, black women have taken charge, and they've said, this is me, this is my hair, I like my hair, and I'm going to wear it this way. And so, as a result, there's not so much pushback. 25 years ago when, I had a major issue on television because I wore my hair in what is called Nubian knots, what we call China bump in Jamaica. And a lot of Jamaicans called and cussed and take that dirty bumpy Rasta looking gal off the TV, etc. I don't think that would happen now. So, in other words, the discrimination has lessened because there's no way that would happen now. People are entitled to their opinion. That's okay. Their opinion doesn't define who I am. So what I did was I wrote this poem called That Bumpy Head Gal, and I put the poem on a poster. It was on my first cassette, yeah. I also made a poster, and what I found was a lot of women started using the poster with the poem and putting it up in their offices. So, for example, if they had a problem with their bosses, having an issue with their hair before, then they would just put the poster up on the wall. This was their message. So, every time I performed overseas, every time I performed in the diaspora, I would do this poem as the last poem in my set, even if it's a comedy show. And every time it got a standing ovation because people needed to hear this message. Tell me something not good enough for your TV screen. How me offend your eyesight? Tell me something is a black, ugly, bumpy head girl, and me tell you something feeling right. Cuss me something is a bottle, and me not have no class. Trace me and get on rude. Tell me say an educated woman should have know a little better, and me tell you me feeling good. You say me hairstyle disgusting and chaka and tan bad, and feel like something out the street. And say me should have shameful left my house tan so, and me smile, and me feeling sweet. You see, the truth is, I'm not afraid of my own self. I'm not ashamed of me. When me looking at the mirror, me like the smile when me see her look for me. Me like her thick, nappy hair and her broad face. Me like her in and outer clothes. And best of all, me like when she turn up for and defend and oppose she oppose. But serious, when you go fall in love with you and let go of all of your fear, when you go take the time tell God thanks for your life instead of fret about here. Because if it kinky or straight, if it black or white, transparent or opaque, God make all of it for a special reason, and God don't make mistake. But if all you can do is criticize the Father work, then your life will be salt, because God love all of we and Him look out for we, even when we have no fault. So, galang, call me black and bumpy head if you want, but make sure so you say it loud, because the Creator love me and me feel good to be bumpy head, black and proud. My message to young people, to my son and to other young people is focus on the personality of the person. What does the person bring to the relationship? Is the person honest? Is the person high on integrity? Make sure that the values are matching with your own value system. Because look here can take off tomorrow. I knew a lady once who was laughing at a woman whose husband wore dentures. She could never date a man who has dentures. And you know what happened? She was in a car accident and she lost all her teeth. She had to wear dentures. Life is like that. So it's not about the physical. We have to focus a little more on who the individual is and what they bring to the table. You see me? I walk and talk my age to everybody. My mother used to tell me, why you walk and tell your age to everybody? I'm 57 years old. 57 years old. I'm very proud of the fact that I'm 57. And at 57 years old, guess what? I love me. I'm in love with this person. Yes, I have some changes to make, but I love this person. And I want everybody to fall in love